Hello, and welcome to the Big Money Stylist Podcast, episode number 39. I feel like next week we're going to have to celebrate number 40, and we'll bring in balloons or more tequila or something, as we already have one bottle of tequila sitting here.
We already know what my vote is for. I'm afraid of balloons, but I do love tequila.
You're afraid of balloons?
Yeah, when they pop, that's scary. You think they're gunshots.
Oh, weird. Do you not have balloons at birthday parties then?
No, I don't like balloons.
Well, she's also from a place called Murder Valley, so I think that explains it a little bit more than
So
just...
when I brought you a dozen balloons, that was a bad move?
I'm like, Jill, put them in the corner. Take them home with you.
Danielle's like, oh, God, just like cake. Val's like, I don't want people bringing me cake. I like cactuses. Well, cacti. I'm like, well,
I like a chocolate-covered pretzel.
I also brought you a gift card and a funny card.
It was funny. I liked it. And tequila.
And tequila.
Danielle's really
And
upset right now. She's like,
chocolate-covered pretzels. You hit all of them.
She's like, thank God. So here we are, episode number 39, and we're going to be talking all about profit. So,
I like me some profit.
oh, everybody
Samesies.
likes us some profit. So we're going to be talking about going into stories, which I know we've talked about before, but that's so essential, especially with Warrior Week having been a few weeks ago at this point,
Right.
and having to let go of all of the stories. So that's something that we saw really big at Warrior Week. Women who came in and they're like, Jesus, I just want to leave my husband. He's a piece of shit. Then they leave and they're like, so turns out I'm the asshole here. And that's okay too. Not a big deal. But you kind of come to realize that it's always a you thing,
Right.
not so much an everybody else thing.
No.
Yeah. So talk about when you have a story like Danielle, what does letting go of that story do to you emotionally?
Well, it's so funny because I feel like everybody understands like, oh, I'm stuck in a story. But the easy part is like acknowledging that you're in a story, and the hardest part is changing that story.
Yep.
And people always are like, oh, I know my story and I just can't. You know what I mean? And I'm like, it's not like you just wake up and flip your story and you're like, yeah, everything's perfect. I described it on one of my blog posts as being like a diet. Like, you're not going to see results overnight, but you just have to consistently wake up every single day and move towards what you want to create for your new story. And the problem is a lot of women, probably men, I don't know, but a lot of women, what happens is they wake up and they fall back into their old patterns and routines of their story, whether it be in relationships or business or whatever. And then they say, see, fuck it, I can't. You know what I mean? And then it's like shame, guilt, shame, guilt. And they're stuck in this shame, blame, and guilt game, which doesn't serve them. And they only use the shame and the blame and the guilt as an excuse to not have to consistently do the hard work every single day in order to rewrite their story and get the end results that they're looking for. And for me, like, one of the big things that I look at when I'm like upset about something or things aren't going my way, I try to look at my end result and I say, okay, is this serving me? Is this going to get me to the end result? And if I'm like, no, then I can kind of like let go of the ego and like dial it back in and figure out what I need to do to get to the kind of the next step or stay consistent in creating a new story. And again, business, marriage, life, whatever it is.
So why do you think women, because we're not always stuck in a story, and I only say women because we are women, so fucking calm your panties if you're getting all upset about this right now. But inside of that, they're like, oh God. But inside of that, why do you think women, because sometimes they are able to let go of a story for a certain amount of time, and then all of a sudden they just revert back. Why do you think they go and like revert back all of a sudden? Either one of you can speak on this.
One, because it's easier, you know, like that's your set point, so it's easier to go back to that. And two, you're right then. You know, you're like waiting for it to happen so that you can prove your story right again.
And you're proving it to yourself.
Yeah, which is so dumb.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing. It's like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to change my mindset, but really there's a part of you that's secretly hoping like it will fail so that you were right in the first place.
Right.
I've never even thought about it like that. I like that you said it's a reset point. My mind immediately went to video games because I grew up with boys, but like it's like kind of like when you die in a video game, you're like, I'll just go back to that point over there.
Yeah.
That point was cool. I didn't really like lose anything. I'm just like back here again. But it's true. Women do that. And the whole right and wrong thing, oh, that thing kills me. I just recorded something yesterday for Mastermind all about it being, we want to win so badly that then we're like, well, if I win, then you have to lose because you can't win and me win.
Right.
It has to be win-lose.
And then we're even willing to sacrifice ourselves in order to win.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's so
Staying
stupid.
in a place of pain in order to be right.
To be right, yeah.
And that's so fucked up. Like, how do you actually think you're right? You're not in a great place.
Right.
But people don't, women, men, whatever, humans, don't really look at it that way. They just see, oh, well, I knew he didn't love me. And then every action you take is to prove that he doesn't love you, even if he does love you.
Well, and to validate anything that you like to your decisions. well, I acted like this or I did this because he did this. And you take zero accountability.
And that is, accountability drives me crazy. That is like that's like a hot button trigger point issue for me.
If more people took accountability and they were like, listen, I fucked up. I am the asshole. It literally like takes the edge off things, and quite honestly, you can actually maybe work things out and move on to a better space.
100%. But it's hard to be like, so I was a dick.
Yeah.
That one's on me. It's easier to be like, well, remember that one time 3 years, 5 weeks, 4 days, and 10 seconds ago when you looked at me sideways? You're like, no. My contact was dry and I blinked, and that had nothing to do with you. But yeah, when you're trying to like validate a story so much, it's just like when you hate someone, you're like, look at that bitch eating that cracker. Look how she eats. Everything they does bugs you.
It bugs you, yeah, totally.
So then that's emotionally. What about physically? When you're unable to really let go of a story, what does that do to like you and your health?
I just think it breaks you down. Like,
yeah, you're exhausted.
Well, for me, I experience high levels of stress and anxiety because of that reason. You know what I mean? And now I feel like in my life, I'm in a pretty like peaceful place. I'm like, I'm just like happy. And I feel like I'm back to like me. But there was like a few years where I just was like so angry towards people, and I was just like, well, they're just a fucking asshole, and da-da-da. And I found myself being angry towards people, but I was really just angry at myself, and that I allowed this story and the stress and the anxiety to kind of take a hold of me.
Yeah. Val, what do you think about physically when you're not able to let go of these stories?
Oh, I think it's like draining on you. You're like physically tired. You're like emotionally tired. You feel like worn down and beat up. And I feel like I am so sensitive to that. I know, like, people will say, like, oh, Val's really, like, cold and detached. And if you know me, you know that I'm not.
No.
But I'm very protective of, like, my space. So, like, if you're bringing anything negative in it, I'm just, like, quick to, like, throw up the wall almost. And not be, like, mean towards it. But it's like, oh, I'm not welcoming this into my space because I have found this peaceful spot in my life that I worked so incredibly hard to get to that I won't let anything mess it up. So, and that's fine. I won't take it personal even when people say that I'm cold and detached or anything, because I know that that's not who I am, and I know I'm not trying to prove myself to you. I know these are my people and who I need to protect, and for me to get to where I need to go, I need to stay in this happy, chill place, and I can't, like, allow that in.
I feel like I don't ever, I mean, I guess I know you, but I don't ever experience you as cold and detached. Who does?
Oh.
Who does?
Lots of people.
Everyone else.
No, I don't
No,
believe
seriously,
that.
it's a
Really?
yeah.
Yeah.
When we went to Impact, that was like the main feedback they gave her, that what was it, Val?
Yeah, that I'm cold and detached, and that I hide behind my one functioning relationship with my husband.
Have you ever felt that way about you?
No.
No?
I could see how people say it because, like, someone, like, I don't mind when I'm, like, don't have someone in my life anymore. I'm not like, oh, my God, that's the saddest. And I won't, like, dwell on anything. I just move on really fast. And so that makes me seem cold and detached.
Because you're super logical.
Yeah, and I'm like,
oh,
that wasn't
makes
working
sense.
anymore. Yeah, good for them. Like, if they don't like me, that's cool. Yeah, I agree.
But that's not how people...
But that's what I like about you. Like, you cast very little judgment of people in general.
Yeah.
And so people, I think, are like, oh, she's cold and detached. And I think that... Because I've been called cold and detached by my husband. And I was like, no, I literally like look at, and now he understands me, but I'm like, I literally look at a situation like very logical, and I'm like, oh yeah, and I can see in this, okay. And then I'm like at peace, and I feel like I can move on.
Yep.
And I try not to get so wrapped up in the emotional side of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And see, I've never experienced a cold detached portion of you. That's why even when people say things, or like even the jokes that are made, like Caden that one day when he was like, God, Val, I was being sincere. You're like, yeah, me too. Like I said thank you.
I was like, thanks, that's really nice. And he's like, okay, sarcastic. And I was like, no, that was my serious voice. I really meant thank you.
That was my genuine voice. But that's why I find it actually hysterical. But I feel like you experience that with me when people are like, shit, Ani is like tough and really fucking mean. You're like, wait, really? I'm like, nope. I'm pretty marshmallowy and soft, but same. I just know that portion of me I'm really protective over. Like, I don't let people inside of that bubble, because that to me is not like a special me, but it's like my special place. So I know, like, to get it, I feel like to get into that wall, that gate, for that to come down, it does not come down easy, and the doors don't open often.
I think that too, when you're busy, you have to be protective of your space. And I'll give you an example. Like during Warrior Women this last week, like one of the girls came up and was like, hey, can I share? And Garrett's like, sure. and he let her share, and she had this big like moment where she was screaming and yelling. And then we went into the back room, and we're all sitting there eating dinner, just our group. And she knew Garrett's sister. She didn't really know her. She just met her at the event, and she comes in, and she's standing there, and me and Garrett and one of the trainers, we're having a pretty intimate conversation. Like, were you there?
No, but I'm already in like what
Okay,
no.
So they got weird. So we're sitting there, literally, we're sitting there, and I can feel this energy because she's behind me, and Garrett's looking up, and nobody's giving her like any 2 cents because we're really connecting.
Right.
And she goes, excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt. And Garrett looks at her and he goes, no, excuse me, you are interrupting. You need to leave the room.
Oh, shit.
And she was like, no, I wanted to share something about your sister. And he's like, I love you. It's great, but you are interrupting, and this is our space. And he walked her out of the room.
Holy shit.
But
was this behind the stage or in like the training?
In the room where we eat dinner with
Oh
just
my
our
God.
staff. She waltzed in, stood
wow.
there, and then said, excuse me. And I was like, but Garrett handled it so great. He stood up immediately and said, no, you are interrupting. I love you. This is our space. And he grabbed her by the arm nicely and led her out.
You have to do that, though.
But yeah, because he was like, no.
Respect.
And it's so funny because when Garrett he used to own mortgage companies, and he's always been a phenomenal speaker, and he used to go train at these events and stuff. And I would be sitting on the sidelines, and after these big events, like people and women and men and they was just like surround.
Glom. It's terrifying.
And I was, but he loved it in the moment, and he would just give all of his time and attention, and he loved the praise. And then I was like in the background, and I remember one specific night, it was my birthday. And I'm sitting there watching, and I'm like, oh my God, and I'm sitting there, and it's an hour and 2 hours. Like, he's just talking to people, and we were supposed to go to dinner for my birthday, and he ran out of time, and we went to Taco Bell for my birthday. And it was,
And while that's Ruby's dream,
yes, it
her
is
birthday,
not my
it is not
dream.
Danielle.
But as our relationships progressed, he's like, no, my fucking time is for the people that are in my circle, and so that's why we protect like our circle. Because you can get drained dry in that feeling of like, I'm the man, I'm validated, I'm on the spotlight, you know what I mean? But in the end, that doesn't serve you. And I think we had to learn the hard way because our relationship was a shit show for a few years, but I'll never remember that story of Taco Bell on my birthday.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I love me some Taco Bell, but not on my fucking birthday.
Yeah, no.
If I could just get a bag of cinnamon twists with extra cinnamon, that'd be great. I'll make that my dessert, but I won't be happy about it. I might be happy about it. But and I've seen that with like the events that we do, we don't go out main doors anymore. Because if not, like it's almost a terrifying, like bombarding moment where it's just like, and like it's happened to me a couple times where I'm like, it happened once and I was like, nope, I'm not doing this anymore. And I always leave back ways now. So even at the event for Warrior Women, I already knew where 2 of the back doors were to make sure that I didn't get stuck anywhere, that I didn't want to get stuck. And the other trainers were like, what do we do? I'm like, don't go through the main doors, follow me.
Yeah.
And it's not to be a dick, but it's like space.
Yeah.
And we have to like, just like you guys are saying, like you have to protect yourself and your energy inside of that. But even like Garrett kind of had to let go of like the story of his ego inside of that. Like, hey, we get it. Like you're cool,
bye-bye.
but
Yeah.
stop being such a dick, you know? And I feel like everybody goes through that. So then let's talk about targets and goals inside of this, because in order to let go of a story, that does actually serve you inside of goals. So Val, I feel like you said it earlier today best. So talk about that, about how letting go of stories actually helps you with goals.
Because you always have to get like we always talk about your like impossible goal. So you set your impossible goal, and then you have to set smaller goals inside that to get you there. And so you have to release those stories. But like for me on profit, obviously money is one, but time with my family is like the main one. And so I have to do little things like I know like X amount of vacations with my family is like my end game plan, you know, and then what it looks like getting there. But even little things like saying no to going to dinners that I don't want to go to, or saying no to birthday parties and showers, and like I only have so much free time, and I'm not going to feel guilty about that either. So I have no qualms telling people like, no, like I will send a gift. Here you go. Congratulations on this and that. But my time with my family is what's more important.
But people don't get it when, like, we're all very busy. And I think it's hard to have that level of respect when you are not as busy, when you're searching for more purpose in your life. You know what I mean? So we may look at it like, I don't want to go to that baby shower because I'm sorry. It's not like I even have an excuse. My excuse is I want to be with my family, and that's not an excuse. That's just where I want to be in this moment.
I legit just don't want to go.
Yeah, I legit just don't want to go. But then, a lot of times people are like looking forward to that because that's their like escape, and that's where they're like, oh, we just are.
But you have to be comfortable in your decisions, and I think so many people are looking for outside validation on how to live their life, and that's where people get into trouble because you're living your life to please other people, and you're the one who has to be like okay with you and your decisions at the end of the night. So I know it doesn't matter what it looks like for anyone else. I want family time, like quality family time. So I will say no, and even if I know that that's hurting someone's feelings, I know that at the end of the day, if they thought about it, like they know I'm not out to hurt their feelings, you know? So I'm not looking for that validation of someone telling me, no, that's okay. No, you don't have to come. Like, I just know this is what I'm doing. I need more family time. This is how I get there. This is what it looks like. And that's what I'm doing. And I don't need any sort of outside validation to tell me like, that's okay. My validation comes from like seeing Ryan happy, from seeing the kids like happy. So I think so many times people get wrapped up in the story, and then not only are they stuck in their own story, they're wanting that outside validation of, no, sweetie, you're doing good, and someone else validating that story that they're doing,
being
you
like,
know?
oh, you're such a good mom.
I guess it doesn't matter then if you're a working mom or if you're not. Like, I like that you're touching base on that. Basically, live your life and spend time with who you want to spend time with, and don't let the kind of the guilt like seep in. Do it because
and same
it's
thing
something
with
you want to do.
With like money goals, like what is my money goal might not be your money goal, might not be your money goal, but what works for you and what you want your goal to be. It doesn't have to be. You don't need someone else to say that's not big enough or that's too big. Like if it works for you and that's a dream that scares you and you have steps on how you want to get there, like you have to live your life for you and not be so concerned about what everyone else is doing or saying about you, because then you're just going to be miserable. You can't please everyone. So you need to look at like your inner circle and you, and then set your goals that way, your big goals and then your small goals to get there.
And that's what I think is what you just touched on, is saying that you have to concentrate on your inner circle. Because I know inside of BMS, like, we do ask them, we're like, what's your goal for this entire year? Like, what are you looking to hit? And sometimes they're like, I want to hit this. And I'm like, you're literally already on track to hit that. So you're telling me you don't want to, like, do anything else. Like, you just want to stay the one course and path you're on. And with that, I'm like, no, that shit is too small. Like, you have to play a little bit bigger. But that's why I think inner circle is so important, because we're not here to be like, ooh, that's all you want to make. You're such a piece of shit. We're like, no, you're better than that. Like, you can actually do more. If you keep playing the same game you've been playing, you're already going to hit that goal. Why stick to that one goal? Why not do something more? So then talk about almost like the influence of an inner circle inside of your goals, like how that can fuck you up.
Well, you want the company you keep to reflect like your goals as well. So I like people that will hold me accountable and say like, hey, that's not big enough, or hey, you can do this. You know, like my story has always been like, I've had stuff happen to me in my life that I never want to be in the spotlight. I can never speak in front of people. I just am always going to be like the wallflower, the girl in the corner. And Garrett and Danielle were the first ones to be like, no, like your story resonates with people. You're going to do this, and like you have it in you. And I need people like that in my life to like give me that extra like kick in the butt and to keep pushing me. And then when I like start to go back, like, you're doing it again, you know? So I like the company that I keep to always like reflect and hold me accountable to the goals that they know that I've been honest enough to say, these are my goals. This is what I want to hit. But if you're lying about your goals and other things around people, that's not company you want to keep, because they're not going to hold you accountable. They're feeding the lies that you're telling yourself.
I feel like your circle or a true friend or just people in your circle, they shouldn't validate like an excuse in a story. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Right? So meaning like if you're like, well, I'm not saying this is you, but like if you're in a problem with your relationship or this and that, and like you don't want to be with like that friend or that person that's like, yeah, fuck them, go you.
Yeah.
You want to be with somebody that's like kind of like, okay, well, what's the other side of that story? You know?
Right.
Because you can't have somebody validate like sort of the negative side of the story. Like you can't give them permission that they're right type of thing.
Yeah.
And that's something I actually just recently experienced with Morgan. We were sitting in my office and we were having a conversation, and she said something which I knew like the back end story to, and she was like, because this and blah, blah. And I look at her and I go, fucking stop it. And you'll be surprised if you know me, I actually never talked to her like that. And so she turned and she was like, what? I'm like, fucking cut it out. I'm like, that's enough. Look at what you're fucking doing. And that led into an hour-long conversation of, she ended up, I'm like, you're going to go stack this night. You're going to work on this. I'm like, but look at what you're now creating. Look at the chaos that you are now creating, because you can't fucking let this go. It doesn't serve you anymore. Fucking stop it. And so even that went back and forth. And I was the first person in her life to say that to her, and she even told me, she's like, you were the first person ever to be like, fucking cut it out. Enough is enough. Most people are like, oh, poor baby, I get it. Yeah, you should be mad. I would be mad too. Well, no, like that doesn't fucking help. That doesn't help anybody.
I'm telling you, I'm convinced we fight so hard for our old stories and validation to be right.
Yep.
Like that's the only upside to a negative story is that you can like be like, yeah, I'm right. You know what I mean? That's the only upside. And then you feel validation from yourself and sometimes other people, but really you're convincing them to be validated for you by how you frame the story. Well, he's a dick because this and this and this and this. Well, you just frame the story of like he's a dick, so he's, you know what I mean? So of course they're going to be like, yeah, he is a dick. But we're kind of like the opposite where we're like, well, is he? Well, why are you creating that?
Oh, you didn't tell me that you threw a plate at his head? Well, you might have wanted to add that little detail in. And even inside of there, I think that people love the negative stories because it's something to talk about.
Yeah.
And I have found that to be really difficult in relationships and friendships. Because I've seen some girls try to do it when they come into BMS. They're like, did you hear about this and that? And I'm like, don't fucking come at me with drama. I don't want to be in a friendship, and I'll just say relationship in general because that's friendships, family, relationships, all of it. But I don't want to have a relationship in my life where the only way we bond is to talk shit.
Yeah.
You're telling me there's literally nothing else in the world that you want to talk about?
It feels heavy. Like it just feels heavy. Like when I'm around groups of people or individuals or even in my own salon, when I feel it going that way, it feels heavy to me. Like I don't know how to, like, I feels like air is literally like pressing down on my shoulders. Whereas like I'm very protective of like the salon vibe and things like that. Even when I hear that, I instantly am like, I want to like change the whole vibe. You know what I mean? I'm like, no. Where are we going?
That's why I think it's funny sometimes when I pop in, I'm like, hi guys, what's going on? And then I just kind of bounce in and out. But that is something that I think is so important, that it is letting go of stories and thinking that you need these people inside of your life. And then really like, gosh, what is that saying when we were younger? Our parents used to say it all the time. Who you hang out with is like a reflection of who you are. But it was like a much like more kid way to say it, but you know,
I don't know the kid version of it, but yeah, that's a good one.
But yeah, it is. But you're like, and so, but inside of that, it's true, and so that's why I find that my group keeps getting like smaller and smaller. Like I find, because I will never forget. Do you guys remember? I don't know if you were there, but I know you were. When Garrett sat us down and he's like, Ani, how many people do you talk to on a daily basis? And I was like, Danielle, Val. I was engaged at the time, so I'm like, Chad. I was like, you. He's like, cool. Anybody outside of the team? I'm like,
Nope.
I have like one other friend. And then he came, and then he was like, Val, who do you talk to? She's like, my 2 kids, my husband, Danielle and Ani.
And the 2 kids counted as 2 people, Sawyer and Lennox.
So she was really trying to split up. He's like, great, not your children. She's like, a husband, Danielle and Ani. Jill wasn't here at the time. But it was like thinking of, I always go back to that and I'm like, shit, we are very not inclusive, like, we're better, but we keep it so tight because with what we're building and really the impossible goals that we set, and not impossible, like, Jesus, we're never going to reach it. We're like, okay, I see you. You're in the distance, but I'm going to fucking hit you. And inside of that, we can't be surrounded by people who are like, you want to do an event of how many people next year?
Oh, you can't do it. Like you can't be with those people that are skeptical. Like, why? But why would you do that?
Why do you
Don't
want
ask me why would you do that? Like,
why not is the real question you should
fuck
be
off!
asking.
Get out of my circle.
And that's how we ended up with just us 3 guys. But it's so true. Who you surround yourself with can really be detrimental to the outcome or instrumental to your outcome as well. And that's why even inside of BMS, there have been people inside of Mastermind, I've kicked them out. Like, I have ended up calling them on a conversation. I'm like, you know what? You can't be here because the way you're acting right now, how you're responding, and there's obviously more than me just being like, I've decided I don't like you. Like, there was a lot that came before that. But I've even had to sit down and be like, you're gone. This is not going to work. I will not have you bring down the entire vibe, group, mentality of a whole pod just because you're going through I don't even know what the fuck your problem is right now. Same with classes. We've had people leave.
Yeah.
It's been a fun time, guys. It sounds like all I do is kick people out. I really don't do that.
I think it benefits the whole group. It can take one negative Nancy to really like bring down like 10 other people. You know what I mean? And you have to fight for like what we're building. And it's just like, I think that everybody should kind of hold that standard of who's in their bubble. You know what I mean? Imagine if you like didn't have relationships based off of guilt or based off significance or based off of they just made you feel happy. Like what if you, or like, you know what I mean? Like not happy.
It's
like,
amazing.
Like, yeah, like they stroke your ego kind of people. Like imagine if you were just like cool. Don't
you
have time for that shit.
genuinely like them.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I found is the people that I now spend my time with, that I talk to like on a consistent daily basis. I'm like, shit, I just like you as a person. And I know like your deep, not like deep dark secrets, but I know like what could be considered like the bad things about you. And I still love those sides of you. Like the people I'm with now all the time, I never look at any one of them and I'm like, oh, I hate that about you. I'm just like, yeah. Your humor is dark. That's a little fucked up.
This is painful to be with you right now.
Yeah. Oh, God, when you're around those people. Look, I have, yes, especially, no offense, but sometimes in events, don't worry. If you're in mastermind, it's not you. But when they come talk to you, you're just like, oh, my God, this is just never ending. This is.
But that's when you're in like a cool, powerful place where you can just be like, good to see you.
I appreciate you coming into this private room, but I'm going to need you to go, please.
Exactly.
I am honestly still kind of dumbfounded by that. I'm like, no fucking way.
All of us we literally, but Garrett, he handled it very well, but I just was like, but to me, I'm like, she doesn't, I didn't judge her. I thought it was super fucking weird, but I was like, she doesn't get it. Do you know what I mean?
And probably no one in her life has ever said that to her. Like, hey, you're sucking too much from us. Now's not a good time.
Yes. And you know what? Hopefully, like, it's part of her growth process as well. And she's like, oh shit. Like, huh.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing. But if you don't have someone in your life who's willing to be like, hey, that's bullshit, you need to fucking cut it out. I mean, even, oh my gosh, when we were at the Persian Club down in LA, I saw Garrett stop like 3 fights from happening. And it was the most interesting thing. And I'm like, oh, there's the diffuser Garrett. He would just come up, put his hand on their chest and be like, hey man, big smile. And then Danielle and I were standing far back, but I'm like, he's just diffusing the entire situation. These dudes don't even know. I'm not going to say they're being manipulated, but I'm like, you guys just got like mentally wrecked and you don't even know it. And it was a very interesting thing to watch. So we're coming, oh my gosh, we only have like 5 minutes left. So Danielle, what is one impossible goal that you have had in your life? It doesn't have to be right now, but when you think back, Val, I'm going to ask you the same, so think of one. What is like an impossible goal that you have had?
An impossible goal that I'm meeting right now, or just
you can either pick one that you've already hit and surpassed,
honestly, like the only thing that comes to mind is like when I started this whole journey, I was like, okay, you're a hairdresser. What can a hairdresser do? Mm-hmm. And I would have never even imagined that it has gotten to the place it has. And I've had a lot of like aha moments in my life where literally I saw like bleeps of the future and I was like, holy shit. I'm not just a hairstylist. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's my craft. That's my tool. That's what, like, I always joke around. I feel like God rolled the dice and was like, hairdresser, have fun with that one. But in kind of like just becoming a better version of myself, now I'm like, oh my God. And I see bleeps of the future and it's not like a specific goal, but I just know where I'm going and where I want to head. And I'm like, you can't fucking slow me down now. Like, I may have started as a hairdresser not knowing anything was possible because I had so many blinders up. And now it's like my walls are shattered. And when you get to that place where your walls are shattered, you're like mind blown. Mm-hmm. And like there's no limitations. And how cool is that to live your life knowing that you create your own story and there's no limitations. And all we need is permission. And the only person that can give us permission is ourselves.
Beautiful. Val, what is one impossible goal that you've had?
My whole life, like everything that I'm living right now, I never wanted to be married. That was not for me. I never wanted kids. I hate kids. Like, I mean, and I never wanted to be like an educator of any sort. I never thought I would like be able to like live at the beach. I just kind of thought you were born into like your economy class and that's what you were dealt and that's like what you would be content with and be grateful for. So honestly, everything that I'm living right now has surpassed any goal that I've like set out in the beginning. But I feel that same way as Danielle. Like I just am like open to so many different possibilities and I just want to keep growing while still keeping like my integrity and like my family intact, you know?
Absolutely. And I think that's something cool is when you've hit the point that I feel like us three are currently at, we've surpassed so many things and any goal that we thought was an impossible goal, we fucking smashed through it. Like we have gone so far past it. We don't even see it in the rearview mirror anymore to the point where not that we don't have goals, but we have like a general overview of, you know what? I know this is where NBR is going. I know where this DKW is going. This is where BMS.
I see the same stadium thing that Danielle sees.
Yes. Yes.
And I just want to keep saying it into the universe, the yacht.
Yes. Well, the yacht's like soon, and so the stadium follows.
Yes. Okay. Good. So I'm gonna keep throwing that out in the universe. I don't care if it's my yacht or Danielle's yacht.
You're like, I just want to either have one or know someone who has one.
I have
Everybody's
yacht
stylish
access.
yacht.
Hey, we're getting a training facility and a lounge. Like, we're really making our way up in the world right now, guys. But that's something I think is cool.
BMS Mediterranean.
But even look at what happens here if you notice. One person said it, you're like, hey, we're doing a stadium. Danielle's like, I know. And I'm like, shit, we've all clearly seen it. And now we all know our path, yes, is that one goal? Yeah, but it's not like the ultimate goal. We just know this path that we're leading down, at some point, there's going to be a stadium inside of there. And I have a feeling it will be a lot sooner than we think it is because I've seen our wait list.
I'm giving it less than 3 years.
Oh, shit. I was going to say, if not at the end of next year, by 2020.
2020.
I say 2020 max, which is a year and a half away.
I like it.
Yo, me too. Don't worry. But I think but look at kind of like the fire that it puts in us. Like, we are going to do this. So that's what I think is cool. When you realize that you can fucking hit any goal and you do it time and time again, we don't stop making goals, but now we just see like a path. And we know on this path, okay, we know at some point next year there's going to be a 500-person event, and then probably another one, and then we're going to have CTs somewhere along this route, and then it's like almost like a road trip. Yeah, like I know it's going to end me at the beach somewhere at some point, but along the way I want to see the world's biggest ball of yarn, the world's biggest rocking chair. I would like to see that one place with really good burgers, and I feel like we're just I'm clearly getting hungry, guys.
There's no end game, though.
Yes.
There's no end game.
I just hit my mic. But yes, like we just see little like blips, like just little pieces that we know we're going to hit, but it's also look at who we're around. Mm-hmm. There's not one person on the team who's like, boo, you guys suck.
If they did, we're like, oh, you can piece the fuck out.
Well,
like,
you know who I think sucks? You suck. So fuck you. Just kidding. It's great. Okay, so.
That's an aggressive way to end this podcast.
Oh, wow.
No, we're not. I was going to let you do something nice.
Okay.
So, Danielle, final words on stories and who you surround yourself with.
We'll see you in the stadium 2020. Oh, okay.
And
I'll
with
be
that,
in the BMS yacht.
Val coming live to you from the Mediterranean on the BMS yacht. Hey, I'm just saying, we have BMS headquarters. We're about to have training facility, lounge. We're having full events. And here's a fun fact, guys. I think BMS convention is moving down to San Diego next year because we have
we have no more space.
I know, we have no more space.
I told you. See? We're getting there.
After 3 conventions, guys.
We've taken out every hotel in Orange County. There's not any big enough. We either got to go to LA or San Diego. So
San Diego, here we come.
We'll see you in San Diego.
So with that,
on our yacht.
And in our giant stadium. So thank you for listening to the Big Money Stylist podcast. You can actually watch us and all of our shenanigans on bigmoneystylistnow.com, and we will see you guys next week.